Hello and welcome to I Want to Grow, and I Want to Grow is all about that, right? It's about our growth, and don't you just love growing? But today is different. Today we're celebrating the British Council and 90 years. 90 years they've been in business, and the ripples they've created around the world, let me tell you, are phenomenal. So thank you, the British Council. Today we have Hanem. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you very much for the invitation. I am Hanem. I'm an educator. I've been in the field of education for 2 decades plus.
Whoa.
And I can comfortably say that I have so much in common with the British Council, you can say, starting by the fact that I know they are in Qatar for 52 years.
Yeah, 1972 they came.
Exactly. And that year is very special to me. So kind of, I don't want the people to guess the similarity because we were born in the same year, me and the British Council.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a kind of a growth companion. I see the British Council as a growth companion to me, professionally and academically. I have had the pleasure of working with the British Council, be that in Egypt, where I originally am from, or here in Qatar when I moved as a teacher first. So I've had this long-term relationship ever since I was a college student. Then as a parent, as a teacher, as a school leader, as a trainer. So you can see like how many dimensions.
So the British Council has been part of your life?
Exactly.
Wow. When did you discover you wanted to be a teacher? That always fascinates me when somebody...
Well, nobody actually, very few people believe that or do give that answer that when I grow up, I want to be a teacher. And I was nothing different. Like I never expected myself to be a teacher. But I was often told that I'm good at listening, at guiding. So with the time, hearing this more than once, I started to take it in. And in college, it was the first time actually I discovered that I loved this profession when I joined the College of Education in Egypt. Okay, and there was the start of knowing about the British Council and how I can benefit from it. You know, we have one of the most ancient British Council branches in the region in Egypt. It's so rich with resources that it was my first resort for any resource. And at that time, back in the 90s, there were not that kind of technology or digital world that we are living in now. So having all the resources on a microfilm was kind of a wow for us. Yeah. So the British Council library was that rich with resources, especially when I was studying English language and literature. So I had the pleasure and privilege to have access to all the resources there.
And I've got to be honest, and I've said this several times on these podcasts, is that I didn't know too much about the British Council. I would say in the last, I've known about them, but I've never realized how much good work they do. And I never realized how embedded they were with the culture of the different countries they're in.
Yeah.
And Egypt, I'm getting a lot of messages from the British Council in Egypt at the moment saying, "Oh, thank you very much. It's great to see everybody or the whole family."
Yeah, and people getting connected to it actually.
Of course,
is great. Like in Egypt, it is a very special place to me when I just see the picture or the venue on TV or anything. It just takes me back to those learning years, if I can say.
So the type of teacher you are, I suppose you've been in it for you said 2 decades?
kind of
So
more.
you must be getting those students now that are now grown up and saying,
Yes, exactly. And this is what's special about teaching is that when you hear it once, even by one of the students saying that, Miss, because of you, I love teaching and I am now a successful teacher and my school is proud and happy with me, it feels very special. But my journey with the British Council actually started with me as a student, as I said, and as a parent. You know, when our kids go on to take IELTS or go for language courses or so. But the most prominent part the British Council has played in my career was the training one. So, because this is my biggest passion, like my greatest passion is teacher development. I do find pleasure and satisfaction and happiness in changing a teacher's attitude towards their profession, towards the lesson they will do tomorrow. So, seeing a teacher happy about their teaching is my greatest pleasure.
but it can always be a pleasurable to teach a teacher, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It's what I enjoy most, actually. So ever since I started this, and luckily my start was also with the British Council. Like back in, I can say, the turning point was in 2009. And at that time I was the head of English, but then I heard a lot about the training courses the British Council offers. So I started to reach out to the people. I want to do this. How can I join that course, the TOT one, which many institutions offer actually. But it was extremely special receiving this from the British Council because they had it not in the form of sessions like daily sessions. We had a kind of a camp. It was called the Middle East Summer School for GCC leaders or potential leaders at that time. So we had colleagues from Kuwait, from Oman, from Bahrain, and it was hosted here in Qatar. So for 2 weeks, we were receiving training on how to be trainers. And this is where actually all the courses stop. They do give you the material and they just let go of you, and you will just go maybe unguided. So maybe you can benefit from the learning or not. But the difference in that course was that the third week was an actual training week.
Okay.
So in the same place, with the same people, we started receiving hundreds of teachers coming in for us to plan the sessions and deliver them on spot. And that was with the guidance of our coaches at that time, who were all amazing coaches from Qatar and also from other GCC countries.
I find it amazing because I look back, because I go a lot on empathy. I try to feel with the teaching and what it's like being a teacher. But I also feel a lot of the time when I was a young lad and my teachers always stood out for me. The ones that I'll always remember forever and ever, you know, the ones that had that influence. Did you realize that you were going to have that type of influence on people's lives?
Not really. Not, because we do it like as a profession. Normally we don't expect so much, but this is what makes it very special when we receive it actually, because we do it day to day. It's like anybody's job. But for teaching, it's because you are dealing with a human being. You're not dealing with a paper or a computer or a device or anything. So that's what actually makes teaching special. And I see teacher teaching or teacher training is even more special.
Yeah.
Like hearing this from a teacher, like by the end of some of the courses I had, but these were the longer ones, like lasting 60 hours of training with the same group, creates that kind of a strong bond between the trainer and the trainees. So by the end of these 60 hours, I had some of them crying on my shoulders like babies, like we want to be back, we don't want it to stop. So that kind of an impact is what gives you the greatest satisfaction, no matter how much effort you put in it.
Right? Such value.
Yeah.
But I'm a lot older than you, but we've seen some transformations in our lives. What has that been like for you as a teacher, in the way that you've got to try and keep up with the latest trends?
Yeah, because as I told you, my greatest passion is teacher training. I see that if education has these so many circles, the teachers even not the students. The teachers are or should be in the heart of these circles, in the very central circle, if we can say. Because give me an excellent, outstanding teacher, and no matter how low performing or struggling the students are, they will achieve progress. They will do at their best. While if the all other factors are working well, without a good teacher, it will never work. So that kind of importance given to the teacher is what made that transformation of me only as a school leader into a school leader and a teacher trainer. So that kind of consolidated my original profession. So my profession as a school leader should have that part of improving how the teachers are performing and having a positive impact on how they are performing. So that kind of training was actually a turning point or a transformational stage in my career. Right after I started presenting in conferences here in Qatar and internationally and I had the pleasure of representing the British Council as a member of the delegation in international conferences in Dubai and in Egypt, etc. So that kind of also paying back of the effort you put in something, showing that it did work with me. And this is why I'm now in a position of paying back to the British Council for the good stuff I received from them.
And it's a question that I want to ask you, but it's one I don't want to offend either. And it's, what do you think to AI right now? And with your profession over those years?
Well, we have to join in. We have to join in, whether we like it. Of course, it's inevitable now. So we are not to debate whether we can take it or not, because it's there. And if we are not able to adapt as fast as possible, we won't be able to support our students or know how to support them. So I can see it's great for the teachers. Basically for admin and unnecessary pieces of work, it can take that load off. But the problem specifically with education is authenticity that the world should be working on. Like as educators, I need to make sure that my students are the ones who are writing this piece of poetry, especially that the language teachers and such subjects that are not factual, they have that part of performance or creativity. Where will creativity go if I put everything in front of the kids? So it's the balance between maintaining how the world is right now and how we want our kids to be.
I was shouting under my breath. I was shouting, creativity, what are we going to do? We've got to keep this creativity.
Exactly.
We've got to, otherwise life isn't going to be the same.
Yeah, but now I remembered something, that still human nature excels, and without any effort you can get how authentic or unauthentic any piece of work is. And that is because I had this experience in my school. I wanted to have an anthem for the school. So previously, and I had this experience, I had to look for a writer and a composer, and I had to meet with them, change this word into that and change that music into that. So this time in my new school, because I just joined the school recently, I just typed it, used AI, and I have the anthem with the lyrics and the music. So it's kind of, yes, it made my job easy. But because I did it, I know that it's not, because it has some criteria. Creativity doesn't have criteria. It's open.
Yeah. But I think it's what you put in is what you're going to get out. So just because you're getting something out and you go, haha, that's great. It was what you had to put in, because I know that it's a lot easier to use these things, but it's also, you've got to use it in the right context, the way that you're feeling. And it's got to write what you want to try to achieve. And then you get that moment where you go, that was great.
Relief.
Yeah, relief. But you've got to get to that. It's work in progress. You've got to keep on pushing it.
And what we can do is we keep educating our kids. We cannot block all these channels and methods of technology, but what we can do is to keep talking to them, keep educating them on how authentic they should be, on how important it is for them to try and make mistakes instead of getting something ready-made or so.
Yeah. And it's great that you're not afraid of this whole thing, this new AI. At first I was a little concerned, but I think that there's some good people out there, great leaders that are going to kind of be able to lead people in making sure that they do things by the right way.
Well, for this, I always say that we are technology immigrants. Our students are technology natives. So how can immigrants teach natives?
Yeah.
That's the agreement that we need to have with ourselves. First, I need to know that I need to move forward. I cannot ask the students to move backwards.
Yeah.
So it's me who has to do the lot of work or most of the job itself.
But that tells me how much a good teacher you are, because you're always evaluating. You have to evaluate yourself.
Reflection.
Reflection.
The
Yeah,
24 hours reflection. And that's maybe if you ask the teachers what word I do repeat a lot, they would tell you reflection. Because unless you reflect, you will not really figure out your needs. Because we don't normally listen to 100% of what's told to us by others. But we definitely listen to what our heart tells us.
Yeah. And it shows me that, as you said, the reflection, what we should all be doing on a constant basis, right? We need to reflect. We need to look at ourselves and say, are we doing as good as we should be? In saying that, reflection, and I'm going to ask you an unfair question, because you must have multiple things that have highlighted your life. But have you got one that stands out for you that you can share with us? One thing that you've had in your career that has just been tremendous, that it will be with you forever?
Well,
a memory,
a happy memory, or
happy
or
memory,
a sad
or
memory?
something that's happened to you that you've gone, oh my word, now that's all worthwhile.
Well, it was like I can say exploding in going on for teacher training, because like in 1 year I found myself having to do a lot. I was asked by the British Council to deliver workshops in local conferences here and in international conferences in Dubai. And I had my school requesting the same, because my teachers are my primary audience, if you can say. And they have the right to share experience with anybody if anybody is ready to help or so. And I had the ministry having their courses and looking at professional and potential trainers to join in. So at that time, we were not even authorized to say no. So that was the kind of experience that sticks to my mind, because it changed a lot my next years.
Yeah. It does sound, and it seems like the British Council has been such a big part of your life.
Very much. And that's what we've talked about so far, is about me as a professional, not to mention as a parent, because and as a teacher, as a school leader, and the impact it had on my students, not on me. Many of the projects the British Council has been doing are amazing. In my secondary school, the one I worked in, the British Council used to run some projects like تقدم and Fame Lab, if you know about it.
Yeah, Fame Lab.
So we always participated in these, and I could see the transformation such projects had on the students. That word transforming, I heard it from my daughter, because she joined that school for 1 year. And by the end of that year, she told me, your school transformed me. She wasn't actually aware what transformed her, because it wasn't actually the school. It was the opportunities the school was able to provide her. And many of these were provided by the British Council. So this is very much appreciated, actually. And they did the outreach stage. They offered the support. They came to school to train the students. They held the competitions, hosted them, which really transformed so many of the students who used to be shy, introvert, lacking confidence while speaking, into very mature, confident young ladies who were able to present in front of hundreds of people.
Fame Lab, I was so disappointed when I met some people this morning. Mm-hmm. And I was disappointed that I hadn't heard of them before.
About the people or
about
the
Fame Lab.
Lab? You
Yeah.
haven't heard about the Fame
No.
Lab? Oh my God.
And I've been here for nearly 16 years. So it was just, I was taken back. I've been involved in the startup ecosystem, but then I heard of this kind of movement, and it is a movement where it is one of those other things that have changed people's lives.
Really?
It's helped them and assisted
they did.
them.
You know, I know some Egyptian influencers who now have millions of followers, and they mentioned it. It all started with their participation in the Fame Lab, that they discovered that they are able to deliver that content and content like in condensed content in such a relatively short time. So they discovered their ability to present, to public speak in such a way, and now they are somewhere else.
I was going to ask you that because I know what it means to you, but I was going to say, what is the British Council meant to you? It's meant everything.
A life companion, professional growth companion, you can say. But it also impacted me personally because it did impact my daughter. So after her participation, there was that. Then if you don't know about the Fame Lab, definitely you don't know about Taqaddam. That is another program. It's a longer running program. Like it's a project that runs with the whole class throughout the whole year. So they do, the purpose of the program is that the team, which is a class probably of 10 students, they look for a problem in the society and they start working on solutions. So the process has a lot of their evaluation, and there is always a final presentation of the outcomes and the solutions. That is a kind of a cross-schools competition. But it's not only a one day or one event competition, it's a project.
But as you said, there's cultures that touch.
Yes.
There's bonds that are made.
Yeah, exactly.
And the knowledge sharing is so impressive.
And the long-term mentoring and coaching they receive, because if it's a one day event, yes, it will have some impact, but it's not going to be as strong and impactful as when they see their coaches on a weekly basis. So they learn from the last week performance questions. They have their ideas reviewed, filtered. They have new paths open for them. So that was one amazing project that the students participated in.
I'm so glad to have interviewed you today. I've got one difficult question for you, but it seems very easy at first. But I think you're going to have multiple words.
I hope so.
But you've got one word to describe the British Council.
Oh, one word only.
One word.
Well, I can say impactful. Impactful.
Yeah,
because
impactful is a good one.
Yes, exactly. Because in all the examples I mentioned, the impact of the British Council was pretty evident in the outcome.
And you've been a major part of that impact. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Well, actually, the British Council
Exactly.
has that impact on me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So congratulations. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast.
Thank you very much.
It's been
Thank
a
you
real
for
pleasure.
the invitation. It's been great.
Oh, you've been a great guest, and long may it continue. You keep on going, making that difference.
Thank you.
Because we love people like you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much indeed.
Thanks.